Okay, so today I'm in Devon at Nigel Hawke's Thorn Farm with Graham Thorner. Graham, thanks very much for agreeing to talk to us today. Champion jockey and Grand National winning jockey. You won the Moldmare Fleet, you won the Arkle twice, you won the Hennessy, you won the Grand Annual, and you were champion jockey in 1970 and 71, the King George. When you won it you were 74 winners. So how hard was it to amass winners in those days with the roads and stuff as they were?
Well, I was just talking to Nigel's staff. The whole scene is entirely different. I went into racing and you looked after two, can you believe it? One age 15, one Sunday off in 3, and then the actual racing itself, no motorways, no agents, and no racing in the summer, of course, totally 2 months off. I got a feeling once there was no racing on a Tuesday. I don't know why I think that, but I remember thinking, well, Tuesday's all right, you can do your odd jobs. So it's totally different. And I'll tell you another thing that's different, that every little stable, for instance, down this part of the country, Mrs. Kennard had her stable jockey, Fred Hollis. So most stables had their jockey. So the whole scene's changed, whereas it seems to me now that an agent gets the top jockey 5 rides, 6 rides, and people don't appear to have their jockeys. The big names are wanted, whereas Joe Bloggs would have 15 winners a year, but he rode all of his smaller stables horses. So to me, the scene is totally different. But one thing interesting is I keep looking, because obviously I'm a bit biased, and I see that when you say a total of 74 winners, that the number of rides they have is not a lot different. So the number of rides per winners are the same. And the other thing is there were 9 champions riding against each other. 9, you know, that were, or Johnny Franklin was after, who I thought was the best jockey ever. Johnny Franklin was a friend of mine. He was champion after, but there were 9. Right, never mind about David Moe, absolutely brilliant. Andy Turnell, Jeff King, all of these could have been champion jockeys. Johnny Hayne should have been and could have been champion jockeys.
Did you set out to be champion jockey? Was that something you wanted to be
like
that
this,
year?
Someone said, "Oh, what did you do?" And I said, "Well, there's 2 things you want to do, but you don't believe." Well, I suppose I always felt I was going to be a jockey. Didn't know the game. Got put to Tim Forster through an owner called Mrs. Henriques, who my uncle worked for as plain and simple groom. So obviously with a connection, she rang up Sir Gordon Richards. He said he's too heavy. She said, "I got a horse with Tim Forster. Go to Tim Forster's." Little did I know what I was letting myself in for. A 15-year-old Somerset hilly-billy farmer's son go in a hostel with 25 lads and have your initiation, which weren't very pleasant, which is in a lot of books. But
hang on a minute, we're not in this book, so can you tell us what the initiation was?
Well, you had your testicles blackened, and as I said, for
what with?
Boot polish and or whatever was at hand, and then because I think there's afraid Golden Bollocks was jumping the queue because I could ride, you know, instead of brushing the yards or whatever, riding work straight away. One particular gentleman, which is in one book, felt obliged to. Even at the breakfast hour, "No kid, how did that horse go?" I said, "I don't know." "What do you mean you don't know? You want to be..." So physically, and then here he's getting a bit cocky. Let's give him a cold bath. Bearing in mind the lads get up early, do their horses, stop at 1 o'clock, go to sleep all afternoon, then evening stables, then go and get drunk all night, and come back to the annex where the kids were, as they were looked upon, the younger lads. Let's have some fun. Hey, he's getting cheeky, let's give him a cold bath. Well, I thought, I am going to drown. Absolute shit myself. And I just got on the ridgeway and cry. I mean, I wouldn't tell mum and dad because I don't. But it did you good because it's a tough business and it toughened me up. It sharpened me up. You know, you're amongst streetwise Liverpoolian lads, London, Dublin, old lads, not married. You know, you put a group of men together anywhere, there's going to be no big deal. I mean, no, it wouldn't be allowed. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. But it's certainly, I wouldn't want, I haven't got one, I wouldn't want a son or your kids to go through it because it was a little bit over the top. But apparently it happened in every hostel. But you know, it didn't kill anyone. Well, I think one or two did, but it was tough, but it did me good.
Okay, so fast forward to, and it's only a few, well, was it 6-7 years later, you're champion jockey. You picked Terry Biddlecombe on the last day. How was that? What happened?
Well, he was a lovely man. I think he got a bad shot how he was looked upon later in life. He got a bit silly. He was a lovely man. It was tight for the last month. There was only one in it, and there was three of us. There was Barry Brogan, Terry, and myself. So there was the first year of the Sportsman Club Awards, and someone came up with the idea, well, here it's a bit close, why don't we, they had £2,000 for the winner and 1,000 for the second. So someone said, well, why don't we say now, let's share it. So okay, yeah, we'll do that. The minute it said that, Brogan, as you know, was a peculiar gentleman. He disappeared. So he wouldn't have won any anyway. And the next day, about 7 o'clock in the morning, Brogan's on the phone. Where he is, God knows. I haven't seen him for months. Here, what about my grand? I could do with the money. I said, yeah, you'll get it, Barry. I made him wait. But I'm a man of my words, so I paid him. But so that's what happened. We shared the grand. And Terry, I can tell you now, we got one winner each at Stratford. My great friend who I had dinner with last week, Ron Vibert, I took over from him from Forster's, and he ran a horse for some West Country people. I think the name, David Barron's trained for them a lot. I'll think of the name in a minute. And it won Red Hugh at Stratford. We flew up to Market Raisin. You never rang, I rang up 6 times, was embarrassed because you didn't do it in those days. Can I ride? I rang up Jeremy Hindley, who owned Tamkiss. I think he rode him himself in the National. He went on and trained in Newmarket. He was assistant to Forster when I was there. Can I ride Tamkiss? Tamkiss won. That meant I was 2 ahead. Terry gave his ride to Lord Oaksey, which I knew Graham McMillan. It was the same for them in the amateur championship, and won. And so it meant Lord Oaksey won the championship. I won the championship. He walked over, shook my hand, and said, "Great, innit?" And he meant it. He meant it. A lovely man. But then he says, "Right, get the champagne in, 2 crates." So he quickly spent all my money, which I didn't mind at all when you've been champion jockey. You know, I miss him. I miss him. He was a lovely fella, and what a great jockey. He was a great jockey. And
a year later, you won the Grand National for Tim Forster on Well To Do, and you beat Terry Biddlecombe.
Yeah, I remember seeing an interview that Mercy said, you won 4 Grand Nationals, Mercy. Said, yes, it should have been 5. Graham Thorner went right round the inside, and Terry went round the outside. I wrote for Brian Marshall, who was a bit of a bully, but I credit him for it. I went and talked to him, and he showed me the plans of National, and I rode for him, and he turned me into an inside jockey. Now, Ruby, interestingly enough, Ruby Walsh says, didn't like going in there because loose horses ran there, which is a point, but it is worth 30 lengths or more. I have got the Grand National cards signed by every jockey, no one's got this, since 1971 to this day. I know the place quite well. And even at the Canal Turn, I've had at least 3 jockeys say they talked to me after winning it, which I'm very pleased about. At the Canal Turn, you say, where's the grandstand? As you're watching, you think it's there. It's there. So, never mind the Canal Turn, which I'm my old show jumping bit come in. I let him pop and turn in midair, lengths. So it is worth a lot, but in the latest Champion Jockey book, it shows photos of both times he nearly fell. So you're either a genius or an idiot. Why did you go right up the wing? Because they were huge. I've got photos of me looking up at beaches like that. Now you look at it like that. You know, the snowflake brigade of this world is taken over the National.
That's Neil Price's book. We'll give Neil a mention there. So you hear about the old sweats saying, "Oh, it's nothing like it was in my day." You know Aintree very well. How does it compare to your day?
It is still different, and the atmosphere and everything, you'll never change it. But I mean, I shouldn't say it. I keep saying as I'm watching, look, there's no fallers. Look, there's no fallers. Look, nothing fell there. Only as saying to myself, I remember walking, looking at a third, and I thought, Jesus. And it's a horrible trappy fence, a guardrail just that high, so it invited you to jump straight in it. I remember I remember, and I got a photo of me standing in the chair. I said, you can drive a Land Rover right here. Now, don't tell me they haven't changed it, because it's A, it's that height, and Beatrice is about that height. Well, you used to look up like that. No, it's because of the Do-Gooder Brigade and the Snowflake Society, it has to be seen to be doing something. But it's still different. It's still different, and some horses don't act there, and it's still a great race. But it's not like the old days. And I've seen photographs of the way back. Every fence was even more bigger. So, you know, it's all right. It's all right. You know, I'm just saying, I'm glad I won what I call a proper fence is when enforcers say when men were men. You know?
No, talking about it was different in those days, wasn't it? Because I've read Barry Brogan's book. Now, what you mentioned Barry Brogan, so we're going to bring him into it. You know, what sort of character was he? Was he normal was his lifestyle normal for a jockey in those days?
Well, I'm told he's a very strange man, and he did a lot of very strange things. You know, I'm told that we were going through London. He said, "I want something to eat. Let's go in Harrods and buy a ticket." Well, he was hungry. You know, well, I'd go. Let's go. Where's the cheapest shop in the brigade? Barry never did that. You know, no, Barry. I think he was a strange gentleman. He was a good have-a-go jockey. You know, on novice chase, kick it in the belly, have it up there. Well, I'm actually glad he did, because he rode Specify, who won the year I was fourth, my first year on Bogino. Come from nowhere, whoosh up the running with Jack Cook, who lived in my village, same village as me when I lived at the Lye in Swindon. Incredibly, we landed up in the same village. You had to produce him very late for Sutcliffe. And Barry, as he had ants in his pants, is right up there from a long way out, so it didn't suit Specify. So I'm glad he was that joke. But he was an up there man, novice chase, kick him in the belly, you know, have a go, good. They say brave, I don't think someone said, oh, you're brave. I think it's rubbish. When you need to be brave, you just did it and loved it. And when you need to be brave, you got out the game.
And but there was a lot of, well, I mean, after racing, would you all go to the pub, or would you go jogging? What was the...
Well, I hate to tell you, I was probably a goody two-shoes. I never go to the pub then or now. I'm not a drinker, so I'm a boring man. And because of that, whether it's concussion, I had a lot of concussion, or whether I don't drink, if I have one huge wine, my wife goes berserk because she says I start being silly. So, you know, it does. If I had two strong wines, I'm drunk. So, you know, no, the boys, there were three jockeys, David Moe, Josh Giver and Terry Biddlecombe. I've said this to each of them. If they wrote a book, it's unprintable and unbelievable. I mean, what they got up to, never went to bed. You know, in the old days, they'd go up, stay at the baths. All the spivs at the time would own clubs, or they'd go to the clubs and do various things from there on, as you can imagine. And the Three Musketeers never go to bed, and then catch the train down to Wye, the train down to Folkestone, Plumpton, whatever, all the sort of tracks up that area, and have 5 rides as though nothing happened. And those three would and be so, again, and we were on about Terry, so tough and that. And he would kill himself in the baths. And in the end, he was a fat man. He was like blabber, because he'd boil it off and put it on, boil it off and put it on. And we were going down to Wye one day. He said, God, I'm bloody thirsty. But not being a drunk, he said, I need a drink. Just because he was drunk. I need a drink. I had a drink. You ride it, because he wasn't going to do the way. But, you know, what characters are not like that around now?